up?
Hey, welcome back to Tuesday Night College Life. My name is Michael.
And I am not Julie. I'm Natalie, filling in for Julie because she's speaking tonight. Woo!
That's right. Natalie, why don't you tell us our mission statement?
Yes, our mission is to help college students from all spiritual starting places become complete and equipped agents of King Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Well, with that being said, guys, I just want to transition us to our game for tonight. Right.
All right, everyone. You may recognize my voice, but it's not who you think it is. My name is Oscar's Emmy, and I will be narrating the cinema rewrites game. So the point of the game is, since I'm Oscar Emmy, I know all movies. But the MCs don't. So there are 2 movies each that Mike and Nat do not know, and they're gonna guess what the plot is based on pictures and scenes from the movies. Let's see how they do. Nat, you're first.
Ooh,
Guess
okay.
Plot.
Well, judging by these pictures, I think this woman has to wear 27 dresses at
You're right. Keep it going.
Yeah, she has to wear 27 dresses at her wedding. Each minute she's taken off to change into another dress. And it's just a race to get everyone to realize that she's not changing her dress. She's keeping it really discreet, but she's also just made 27 dresses for her wedding.
Well, can I just say you could not be further from the truth. This is not Project Runway or a talent show, which you just described perfectly. You are incorrect. What 27 dresses is a perennial bridesmaid, Jane, always puts her needs of others before herself. So she's this constant bridesmaid. But this one reporter who is infiltrating a great wedding catches her eye, and now she's the bride. So with that horrendous guess, good job. Nice try. Let's go on to Big Mike.
Oh, man. Tag.
Guess the plot.
Tag. I believe it's a plot of 5 Guys, okay? They go to 5 Guys to get 5 Guys burgers, but unfortunately, they forgot the tags of something. But actually, plot twist, this is actually a Mission Impossible series where they're trying to tag somebody, a person, probably a politician, but it turns out they were actually not spies. How did I do? Is that even close?
You did pretty decent. Actually, for getting probably 20% of it right. Let's go through this. What's the real plot? So you got 5 Guys right, because we can all count. But 1 month every year, five highly competitive friends play an all for everything game of tag, also known as touch and go. Through their lives, their jobs, and relationships, these 5 friends always come together. And that politician you were talking about, that is a groom at their wedding. So he is not a political candidate. He is a groom. And this ultimate tag game culminates in this wedding. So,
wow.
Yeah, good job. TAG is an acronym for touch and go, for those who have lived on this earth without knowing that. No judgment. All right, let's go to the next one for Nat. So, what is this?
Wow, I have absolutely no idea. If I had to guess, I think that little girl is asking her dad, "Dad, am I adopted?" That is his response. He says, "Definitely, maybe." And then she gets a piggyback ride through the city to find her biological mom. And because Ryan Reynolds is in it, I'm assuming it's a rom-com, and he falls in love with the biological mother. Boom.
That is actually really good, minus the adoption part. And yeah, it's basically that where the Will Hayes, who is the main character, is a New Yorker, so that city is right. And he's in the middle of a divorce, and his daughter asks him how he met his her mom. And through this, he talks about his past 3 main relationships and changing their names and changing where some things about them. She has to guess at the end of the movie which one's her mom. So you're right. And yeah, and she did choose right. So good job, Nat. All right, last one. This is an oldie but a goodie. Big Mike,
Goonies.
what is this?
Universal's failed attempt to replicate the success of the Pirates of the Caribbean, featuring kids actually from the Harry Potter. Guess what? These kids are going, but they're actually the Scooby-Doo gang minus Scooby. Fred actually has a little brother, but they invited the people from the Narnia series, and unfortunately, they run off somewhere, apparently a pirate ship, and they get the pirates bounty, okay, and they go dancing, and they become millionaires. That's the plot right there.
Wow, you two should just drop out of college and go to Hollywood, because you guys are great.
Awesome.
You got the pirate ship right, Mike, so good job on that, brownie points. But basically in this movie, a band of adventurous kids, not related to Scooby-Doo whatsoever, is trying to save their hometown by cleaning out their house and finding a pirate's map. And they follow this path, and it's dangerous, and there's robbers and stuff like that. And they find the ultimate treasure, and they save their town. Mm-hmm. So, yep, that's it. Good job with the plots. Like I said, go to Hollywood. You guys can make big bucks, and I would totally see that. I'm Oscars, Emmy, and you have been approved to be in movies. Thank you, guys.
Wow, thank you, Oscars, Emmy, for that high praise. And speaking of movies, I think we have another video for all of us to watch. So let's get over to that.
Woke up this morning thinking about the number 12. You might be thinking, I know what 12 is. The number that comes after 11. For some crazy people among you, you might be thinking it's the number that comes before 13. I'll tell you what I think about the number 12. The 12 is the college life leadership team. The 12 are the people who make growth groups happen, who make Tuesday nights happen. The 12 are the people who basically run college life. And as we're staring down the barrel of next year, we're starting to ask the question, who's going to be the 12 for next year? Better yet, what is the 12? Better yet, let's talk about the 12, okay? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the 12. So join me for a cup of coffee. The real question to ask and answer is, why do we call this thing the 12? There's not 12 people on the team, and we know that. We know how to do math. The reason we call it the 12 is because this is what we hope that the team would become. You know, Jesus had this group of people around him who were sort of the center of it all. And, do you mind? Okay. Jesus had this group of people around him, and there were 12 of them. And they were sort of this inner circle of people who had power and influence within the Jesus movement. And but they didn't stay that way as sort of this inner circle of 12. They actually went out. Their purpose was to go out and build the church and increase the kingdom beyond themselves. And that's what we hope this team would be. Maybe they have some influence in college life, but we hope that they don't stay just in this inner circle. The point is that they go from there and go build college life, go build the church and build the kingdom. And that's what we hope that they'd become. And you know, the best thing about it is that this is the best way to live as a human being. And we think that this blesses the kingdom, blesses college life, but the best part also is that it actually blesses those who are on the team. And if you don't believe me, listen to these folks.
I joined the 12 because I was always impressed from the past 12 leadership groups. I thought they were amazing and gave so much love and care to college life. And I remember thinking, I'm so excited to one day get the opportunity to be part of that, and was, you know, able to do that last year.
A fond memory that I have of the 12 are definitely the 12 dinners. 12 dinners are typically at the end of each quarter, like so entering finals week. And we just hang out as a team and we play games, we eat food, and it's a great time. But weirdly enough, my favorite one is online, and it was this last Christmas. Maddie and Peter magically and brilliantly managed to get White Elephant through Zoom. So as a team, we played White Elephant, and if you know what White Elephant is, you know it's super chaotic and super fun. And this was nothing short of that. There's a lot of laughter, a lot of smiles, a lot of gift stealing, and really, I just had a great time.
One of my favorite things about the 12 is easily pods. Pods is one of the most fantastic things in the world. I mean, who doesn't want to sit down with Peter for, you know, a couple hours and just talk about life? I mean, it's just literally fantastic.
Our biggest hope for you, if you're going to join the 12, is that you would actually become the best version of yourself on this team. And the reason we think that and the reason we hope that is because actually we think that the nut of your potential is cracked under the weight of responsibility. That we want this to be a high responsibility, high reward kind of experience for you. And the only way you're going to get the reward is if you commit to the high responsibility. And so Maddie is going to tell you the first thing you'll be committing to.
You are committing to a June to June ministry role. This might sound obvious, but the reason that we care so much about this is because inevitably life is going to get busy. It's just a fact of life. And we need to know that for each other, we are all committed to the same mission and to each other.
The second thing you'll be doing is you'll be agreeing to commit faithfully to participating in our summer preparation program. You know, we don't want the summer to be a spiritual off-season for us. And so we're going to give you a book. We're going to talk about it. It's going to nourish you. It's going to energize you. And so by the time the fall rolls around, we'll be ready to go to lead this community.
You may be thinking, Maddie, I don't know how to do any of this. Well, good news, because you're committing to a weekend of training. A training for a welcome week and a training to be on the 12. And this ideally would be a weekend in Tahoe where we just have the best time of our lives with each other. We grow with each other, we train with each other. But if that can't happen because of COVID, it's still gonna be a fun experience, and it's still gonna be very life-giving in your training.
Number 4 thing that you're committing to is you're committing to serving full-time during Welcome Week, and you're gonna think about it like you're actually like a missionary on campus. I mean, you think about it. There are all these people coming to our campus for the first time who don't know anybody, don't have any place to belong, wondering if anyone's gonna love them and know them. And we get to be the people to say, yes, we can love you and know you. You can belong here with us, and we can really meet a deep need for them. But that takes effort, that takes energy, that takes organization, and we are gonna be the ones committing to do it. So that's number 4.
5th, you are committing to go to 4 out of the 5 leadership meetings every quarter. These meetings are multifaceted, which means that sometimes they're for further training, sometimes they're for spiritual growth, and sometimes they're for ministry planning, and sometimes they're just for fun.
The last thing you're committing to a relationship with me, a relationship with Maddie, with the staff. One of the best parts about this team is that we gather little groups of you, we call them pods, and we meet every other week for 90 minutes. And we talk about life, we talk about what's happening with you, we talk about what the Spirit's doing in you, and it's absolutely my favorite part of this job, and I think one of the best parts of this whole experience. And so I hope that you'd consider this and that we'd actually get to know each other a little bit better. And if any of this has piqued your interest, Maddie is gonna tell you what happens next.
So you're probably thinking a lot right now. You're probably either thinking, man, I really want to join the 12. Just sign me up already. Or you may be thinking, I'm kind of interested, but I just really don't know. I just really want to talk to someone. And I have good news for you, because the next step is the same for both of you. Go to collegelifedavis.com/12 first step and fill out our interest form, and we can get the ball rolling. If you have this much interest or this much interest, just fill it out, and we cannot wait to see what the new team is for next year.
What's up, everybody? It's a pretty good performance by the mug, and I'm really just coming on here to reiterate some of the things that were just said, and to tell you that this is a big deal, because it's a big deal every time that we launch our search for the next year's 12, and so I want you to know that this team is just one of the greatest things that I feel like we get to do as college life, is to be a part of this team, learn what it means to lead, learn what it means to serve the church. I really do feel like it's sort of the final step, the final boss of the complete and equipped mission, which is not to say if you don't do it, you're not complete, but it really does set you up to, I think, become one of the sort of the best version of yourself, and to become the kind of person that can have this lifelong relationship, not just with Jesus, but serving Jesus and his church. And so I want to just reiterate one thing, is that what this is for is these are for people who are going to be juniors and seniors or seniors plus in the ministry. And so if that's going to be you, then I encourage you, again, you've seen let's see if we can do this. Oh, no. Yeah, there it is. collegelifedays.com/12first step. Okay. And go there, and you can choose your own adventure. And you can either tell us, hey, I just want to talk about this. I'd love to get some more information, or you can just fill out your application, and we'll get this thing rolling. But you can expect to hear from Maddie or me coming up soon. And have I not said yet that this getting to know you guys as leaders is just one of the best parts of my job, and one of the dearest things I hold from a whole life. And so I hold this team dear to me, and I can't wait to see what takes shape. I think that next year could be historic. For next year, we will be the team that leads college life back together. We will be the team that leads college life out of exile back to time together. And I think that's a really cool responsibility. I think it's gonna be hard and beautiful. So I hope that some of you will answer the call and start to see the team taking shape. So again, collegelifedavis.com/first-step, and you can see how you can move forward. Love you all. Oh, and I'm going to bring it up Emily to introduce our speaker.
Hey, College Life. I have the honor of introducing our lovely speaker for tonight, Julie Daisy King. She is a fourth-year human development major and design double major. She has been in college life for 4 years and has served on the 12 for 2 of them. Her third year, she was a sophomore growth group leader, and this year she is a freshman growth group leader and the events team lead. I admire so many things about Julie, but one trait that stands out the most is how much she cares about her friends and what is going on in their lives. She has listened to me talk and process things too many times to count, and whenever I tell her I'm worried about something or struggling with something, she always checks in to see how it's going. When I was in Argentina my junior year, I told Julie that one of the things I was worried about was that I would fall away from the community when I was gone and then feel lost when I got back. So Julie took it upon herself to call me every week I was in Argentina and give me an update on everything that was going on. She even FaceTimed me during a Frisbee Friday, which is a college life event we had on Fridays before COVID, so that I could see everyone in the community. Julie also has such a servant's heart. She served in Lighthouse, the middle school, high school youth group at FBC, her sophomore year, and has served in college life the past 2 years. When we were sophomores, we weren't allowed to be on the 12 quite yet, but that didn't stop her from growing close to and serving the freshmen. She even went through the pouring rain to attend one of their growth groups. I am so excited to hear her talk tonight because she is so wise and has such a strong faith in God. I have served beside her the past 2 years and have learned so much from her. So without further ado, welcome Julie Daisy King.
Oh, thanks, Em. Well, hi everyone. My name is Julie, and I am a notorious rewatcher. By that, I mean that I consistently opt to rewatch a series that I have seen before rather than find something new to watch on Netflix, to the point where it actually takes effort to convince me to watch a new show. 2 relatively recent triumphs have been my high school friends getting me to watch Sweet Magnolias and my boyfriend Nick getting me hooked on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There's just something comforting about watching a show that you're familiar with and you already know you're going to like. Of all, like 5 of the shows that I rewatch, Gilmore Girls is definitely my go-to feel-good show. If you aren't familiar, the show centers around Lorelai Gilmore and her daughter Rory, whom she had when she was 16. They live in the most adorable New England town called Stars Hollow, with plenty of fun local characters. Also part of the family are Lorelai's wealthy parents, Richard and Emily Gilmore. Lorelai and Emily have a strained relationship, and it does not help that Emily is quite the meddler and not really a warm and fuzzy kind of person. Her dialogue includes plenty of disapproval and a smattering of quips and digs. I mean, from literally the second episode of the show, Emily is already just ruthless. Rory is going to go golfing with her grandpa, and Emily tells her that she can use Lorelai's old clubs, which are upstairs, gathering dust along with the rest of her potential. Oof. A quick snapshot of some of Emily Gilmore's worst behavior to really kind of round out this picture for you. She meddles in Rory and Lorelai's dating lives. Shortly after Rory gets back together with an old boyfriend whom Emily never liked, Emily decides to throw a party for Rory, except knowing full well that her granddaughter is already dating someone, Emily only invites families with eligible college-age sons. Emily also intervenes without consulting anyone. For instance, when Lorelai graduates with her AA in business, Emily hires a full-out film crew who are about as obnoxious as can be, without consulting her. They then proceed to follow Lorelai around and totally embarrass her in front of her classmates. So you're probably getting the gist that Emily can be a bit exhausting. Really, I mean, how do you deal with that? But amidst all her meddling and judgment, Emily Gilmore is actually a really complex character. Despite often going about it all the wrong ways, Emily is usually trying to do what she thinks is best for the people she loves and is always chasing their affections. And that's one of the things that makes this show so beloved. It's at the heart of Gilmore Girls. It's a story about not running away from difficult relationships, but learning to make them work, to work through the hard parts, learning to move beyond affection to real love. While we might not all have experienced Emily Gilmore, I'm sure we've all known or know someone in our lives that it's not always easy to love. Heck, even the people we adore can upset or annoy us. I mean, just ask Nick how many times he has to deal with me interjecting mid-sentence on a walk about some kind of cute animal I see. I think most recently, a hawk at the park and a brown tabby cat in someone's driveway. Or ask my roommate Anissa about me waking her up at 3 a.m. because I am creepily laughing in my sleep at absolutely nothing. Sometimes loving people can be tough. We have all and will all be faced with people who we don't necessarily click with, times when the people we love challenge us, like strain our patience or ability to forgive, and situations or circumstances that can just make it tough. And that's what we're going to be exploring tonight. How do you love others well, even when it's hard? In search of some wisdom on this topic, we're turning to 1 Corinthians 13. This passage is approaching the end of Paul's first letter to the Church of Corinth, and it's all about love. In fact, 1 Corinthians 13 is regarded as one of, if not the classic love passages of the Bible. If you have heard it before, it very well may have been during a wedding ceremony. Now, to that end, before we dive in, we need to take a moment to note that while we may associate this passage with romantic love more than anything else, Paul is truly talking about the whole spectrum of relationships. In fact, he's specifically sharing these verses in the context of God's love and love within the family of God. We'll dig into this in a few minutes, but now that we've kind of calibrated our vision for this passage, first, let's read. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all I have, and if I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. For now, we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I have been fully known. So now faith, hope, and love abide, these three, but the greatest of these is love. So, our first stop in examining this question of how do we love others well, even when it's hard, is what I'm going to call Interrogate the Rainbows, which is really to say, taking a harder look at the romanticized view of love we're so often fed in our culture, the sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns, or honeymoon view of love, if you will. We don't have to look very hard to see evidence of this mindset in our culture. Take Friends, for instance, another show that is a chronic rewatcher favorite. This 1990s sitcom has plenty of examples of how to do relationships poorly, like saying your ex-girlfriend's name instead of your fiance's at your wedding. But it also has some beautiful relationships and some moments of real clarity, like this one. Looks like we might have a little tech switch. Don't worry, I can just tell you what the scene is. So in this scene, Monica and Chandler, who are, in my opinion, the best couple on this show, have been dating for a few months and decide to go away together for the weekend. They end up spending more time frustrated at one another than enjoying their time and return to New York disgruntled. Chandler comes over to Monica's apartment and opens up the conversation with a simple, "So, that weekend sucked, huh?" Monica agrees and Chandler replies, "So I guess this is over." Monica is thoroughly confused. So Chandler continues. Poor sweet Chandler says as if it's obvious, "Because the weekend, we had a fight." Understandably to us, Monica starts to chuckle at her boyfriend. She informs him, "Chandler, that's crazy. If you give up every time you have a fight with someone, you'd never be with anyone longer than..." Oh. And it's at this moment that Monica and Chandler both suddenly realize that this misunderstanding has been behind a significant pattern in Chandler's dating history. And then Chandler sweetly says, "So this isn't over?" To which Monica assures him, no, it was a fight. You deal with it and you move on. It's nothing to freak out about." Chandler is relieved and thrilled, and then Monica delivers this classic line, "Welcome to an adult relationship." So Chandler has been exposed to and experienced a pattern of examples in his life that have shown him that love does not last through fights. It's supposed to be sunshine and rainbows, or it's not working out. This is the same kind of stuff we see in rom-coms too. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm as big of a rom-com fan as the next person. Between team bonding parties and girls' nights, I have seen She's the Man and The Proposal more times than I can count. I mean, who does not lose it seeing Sandra Bullock chanting the lyrics to Get Low while dancing around a fire as Betty White watches in horrified confusion? Point is, rom-coms are a delightful movie option. But they also tend to give us a very specific and limited view of love. We likely don't stop to consider this each time we select the TV content we're about to consume, but a pattern of examples like that inevitably shapes our expectations and thoughts about what love looks like. Frankly, aside from the classic low point of each film, everything is always peachy and lovely, again with the sunshine and rainbows. So let's take a moment here and interrogate the freaking rainbows. The vision of love portrayed in our culture is often one that paints love as a thing, something that's supposed to come into our lives and make things better. In many ways, this is a reflection of consumerism as well. Love as a good that should serve us, which, if we follow that logic, means that if it is no longer serving us, it's no longer worth investing in. We can see this mindset play out in a couple ways. For one, it tends to make us short-term investors. When we buy something, we're being driven by our own desires and personal peace. That is, we're only going to get something that will help us or make us better, not something that will incur cost or inconvenience us. If that's the case, we're going to return it or get rid of it. You can see how this would be an incredibly problematic mindset to creep into relationships. But that's precisely what happens. We're entrenched in a culture that tells us that love, like a good, ought to always improve our lives. And in action, this mindset can lead us to be a lot like Chandler. If a problem arises, it must just be time for the relationship to end. For another thing, we're also living in a time of the internet where it is incredibly easy to block, delete, unfollow, just get away from another person. The result is a cultural message that says rather than engage, we can and even should discard voices that rub us the wrong way or challenge us. Now, when I say this, I'm talking about people with whom we have intentionally connected with online. I'm not talking about the unknown hateful account that finds its way into the comments or a creepy follow request that pops up on Instagram. It is wise to block accounts such as those. But with people we actually have a relationship with, an impulse to block might seem normalized online, but just doesn't match up with life outside the internet. I mean, if the person next to you in English class says something hurtful, you can't just press a button and make them disappear. In reality, you get to school the next morning and there they are at the desk next to yours. Point is, despite what internet culture might suggest, you can't block people in real life. You have to work through it. You tell the person in English class that you felt hurt when they said that, and then you talk about it and you're able to move on. If you asked culture, rom-com industry and all, to write verses 4 through 7 of 1 Corinthians 13, it might go something like this. I'll just take a quick sip of water here. All right, and we got the slides. All right, so love is easy and fun. Love always agrees. It is inevitable, and if there are problems in the second act, they will be resolved with minimal effort within 40 minutes. Love affirms who you are, so you get your own way. Love is allowed to be angry when it's about the right things, and love does not have to listen. Love bears what it wants to, but only what it can handle without inconvenience. But that's not what love really is. Real love is clear-eyed about the human condition. It doesn't expect people to be something they cannot be. Rather, real love forms muscles that enable us to endure the spectrum of relationships, interactions, and experiences life will bring. And that's why love isn't actually a thing so much as it is an action. Let's shift our gaze to see what Paul has to say about what love is. Paul says that love is patient and kind. Love rejoices in the truth, protects, trusts, hopes, and perseveres. Love is not envious, boastful, dishonoring, self-seeking, or easily angered. It does not keep record of wrongs and does not delight in evil. You notice how everything Paul lists here is a verb. Love is and love does. It is the one taking action, not receiving it. And viewing love in this way, enacting it, actually sets us up not just to thrive in the sunshine and rainbows, but also for the whole range of weather conditions we might and will face. Dull, dreary days, tumultuous storms, scorching summer heat, sometimes laced with smoke, or days when the wind rips through town so hard you lose balance on your bike. All the weather. Which leads us to our second point. Suffer long, endure everything. Looking at verse 4, we see that love is patient. Most translations of 1 Corinthians 13 use this word, but the King James Version instead says that love suffereth long. And this translation actually reveals a greater depth as to what Paul is really getting at here. So what does it mean to suffer long? Well, thinking about our weather analogy, loving by suffering long would be sticking around through the overcast, windy, hot, stormy days, rather than jumping on a plane in search of fairer weather. It's understanding the reality that not every day will have sunshine, but that the sunshine will be back soon enough. Real love expects hardship and differences and disagreement and even disappointment, and it develops the muscles to find affection in the midst of those things. So when Paul writes that love suffers long or is patient, he is saying that love stands by through the full spectrum of life. Looking at verse 7, love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. When we're walking through a painful, challenging season, be it a desolate desert or a tumultuous storm, love looks at that and says, I see you, and I'm going to continue to walk by your side. I'm not going anywhere. Or when we mess up and hurt someone, love looks at that and says, I know you, and I see your desire to grow, and I will stay. Even in the everyday, when life is monotonous, just ordinary, love says, I'm here for all of this. We need to pause for a moment to make a critical clarification. There are times when suffering long is pushed too far. Love will be challenging, but we are not called to bear, believe, hope, or endure abusive relationships. The love that we're reading about here is a two-way street. As much as we strive to offer it to another, they too must be striving to offer it back to us. Now, I say strive because there will be times when we fall short of loving well, like getting angry at someone we care about after a long day at work, or bringing up what someone did last time in an argument. But love does not willingly make a pattern of such things. So even in those moments, both people should still be striving towards loving better, both in that moment and moving forward. Relationships should not be envious, boastful, dishonoring, self-seeking, easily angered, or keeping records of wrong to the point that other people who love us, and perhaps wise professional counsel, see that it is enabling a one-way street where we're receiving manipulation, control, or diminishing behavior, rather than patience, kindness, and support. That being said, the suffer-long love Paul is talking about here is the kind of love that sets us up for robust, long-term relationships with others. Truly, this love is built for the eternal outlook of our family in Christ. Approaching love with this view of familial relationship opens the door to countless opportunities for community, a community that we can always turn to one that pushes us to grow, and one that brings great joy to our lives. Here in college life, part of our leadership team, aka the 12's mission, is to be united as family, which includes everything from laughing together to navigating sibling-like quarrels. We even get some of those accidentally hit your sibling sort of situations going on. And yes, I have a story for this one. So our sophomore year, Zach Turley and I were throwing a softball around during Frisbee Friday, which pre-pandemic, see a picture here, was a college life event on Friday afternoons where we'd gather on the UC Davis quad and play games or hang out. So we're throwing this softball around and we get to talking about drills my softball coach would have us do in high school, like fielding short hops. And if you're not familiar with softball or baseball, short hops are instances where you have to field a ball that's just hit the ground right in front of you. They can be tricky because each hop can hit the ground differently and then bounce a totally different way. But you can practice fielding them with a partner by both crouching in a ready position and then throwing the ball about 1 to 2 feet in front of each other so that it bounces, and then they can field it into their glove off the bounce. And since we've just been throwing this ball back and forth, we decided to try it, shake things up a bit. So Zach is totally game, so we start throwing each other short hops. We get into a rhythm of throwing and fielding and start to pick up speed and intensity because hey, we're pretty good at this. And then I throw the ball and it hits the ground and bounces and nails Zach right below the belt, which, then he kind of keels over. And so I felt terrible. Zach would jokingly tell you that I tried to end him that day. But thankfully he forgave me and we're still friends 2 years later, so it's all okay. And this isn't the most significant thing that's happened on the 12, because when we're working so closely with others, we're bound to step on one another's toes. One of our team's goals is when this does happen to do it well, because we love one another. I've had the immense joy of serving on the 12 for the past 2 years, and I can say with full confidence that the familial relationships I have developed in serving alongside my fellow brothers and sisters have been so incredibly life-giving and rich. These are the kinds of relationships that help us see why learning to love others well, even when it's hard, is so very worth it. God has also worked in my life through them in ways that I cannot quantify, and I love them dearly. And it is in these kinds of loving relationships that God also really reveals his character to us, which brings us to our final point. Begin with God's love for you. Throughout this passage, Paul talks about love as if it's a person. And beyond emphasizing the importance of love being an action, there's another, even more critical reason why he does this. Paul talks about love like it's a person because it is. 1 John 4, verse 8 tells us that God is love. And the Greek word for love used in this passage is agape, which refers to the unconditional love of God. Love which, as our beloved Bronwyn Lee writes in her book, is based not on the worthiness of the recipient, but on the esteem of the love giver. So you see, before we read anything else into the wisdom of 1 Corinthians 13, we first need to experience the reality that this is a description of God's love for us. Let's look at verses 4 through 7 again. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. You see, love endures, trusts, bears, believes, hopes through all because we're broken people loving other broken people. If love didn't do these things, frankly, we would have no one to love because we all fall short of one another's needs, expectations, everything, because we're broken people in a broken world and we'll always stumble. But the beauty here is that love is not perfection. Let me say that one again. Love is not perfection. So what is it? Well, love is merciful, self-sacrificial, and gracious. Our loving God, who is love himself, knows us fully, including how broken we are, and that we're never going to be perfect in trying to love him or other people back. That same God looks at you and looks at me with all of our cracks and dark crevices and says, yes, absolutely, I choose you, and I will continue to choose you. In fact, I have chosen you so much that I sent my one and only son so that all of this mess that you carry can be forgotten. I will always love you and be patient with you in all your shortcomings because I have redeemed and am redeeming and will redeem all things. And when I look at you, I see myself. I see my image, my spirit within you working from the inside out to repair and renew you because I look at you and I say, this is good. So incredibly good. And this is the love we are offered by our loving Father, the love that Jesus lived out while he was here on earth, and the love that Paul is writing about here. And if you're like me and the reminder of this reality just makes your heart kind of swell, well, hold on to that feeling because like God has created us and loved us out of the overflow of his love, so too are we called to love. 1 John 4, verse 11 says, "Beloved, if God so loved us, we also ought to love one another." God's love and grace are so abundant that we can and are called to extend the same love to our family in Christ, to our neighbors, even to our adversaries, all out of the overflow of love from our Father. Which brings us back to this question of how do we love well? To love others well, even when it's hard, we need to interrogate the rainbows. Take a hard look at what the world is telling us love looks like versus what the Bible is telling us it is. And in examining this, we see that loving well means being prepared for incurring some cost. We need to strive to be patient and suffer long with those we love, to walk alongside them, whatever life's weather may be. And then at the heart of this entire undertaking of learning to love well, we must begin with fully experiencing God's love for us, because his love is perfect and it is offered freely to us. We never have to earn it or worry about retaining it. We are always loved. Learning to love others well is a process, especially when it's hard. It requires persistence, patience, and hope, and it is immensely life-giving. I'm going to leave us tonight with one last illustration. If you know me, actually, if you've met me for at least 5 minutes, you likely know that I adore plants. One of my favorites is the African violet, and my favorite thing about them are their beautiful purple blooms. They aren't always flowering, though. You have to give them the right condition: soil, light, water, the basics. And even then, they cycle in and out of flowering. Frankly, most of my plant parenting involves diligently caring for a flowerless crown of leaves, which I've actually come to adore because they're fuzzy and the undersides are purple, which is just cool. But all that care is necessary for it to bloom. And when it does, it's just beautiful. Loving well in many ways is much like caring for a plant. You build solid practices that you continue day in and day out, even when you aren't seeing any fruits. You trust that your efforts are worthwhile, and you even grow to find affection for the ordinary. And then, punctuated throughout this process are periods of intense, stunning blooming. Moments where you see the effects of your efforts, and the entire process of loving becomes so clearly worthwhile. Let's pray. Father, thank you for your immense, unending love for us. I pray that you would make this truth feel like a brand new revelation to us, that we would experience the depths of your love for us anew each day. And Lord, would you show us how to love as you do? Teach us to have patience, to keep fewer records of wrong, and to bear with one another. And may we see the fruits of loving well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Julie. It's awesome to hear the message of love and how guys intended us to love. And we thank you for that talk. So, guys, let's transition over to Kyle for worship.
Thanks, Mike. And thanks, Julie. That was an awesome talk. Let's sing to our Father in heaven together. You heard the cry of our hearts, and you came down. Freely you gave us your love, showing us how. Make me an instrument of your peace. And where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is darkness, let me shine light. And may your love cause us to open up, cause us to open up our hearts. And may your light cause us to shine so bright that we bring hope into the dark. And all that we do without love it means nothing. And grant us the courage to give as your calling, and make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love, and where there is darkness, let me shine light. And may your love cause us to open up, cause us to open up our hearts. And may your light cause us to shine so bright that we bring hope into the dark. And hope for the hopeless, your love is. It's strength in our weakness, cause us to open up our hearts. And may your light cause us to shine so bright that we bring hope into the dark. May your love cause us to open up, cause us to open up our hearts. And may your light cause us to shine so bright that we bring hope into the dark. Father, you love us so deeply and so perfectly. I pray that you would give us that love to give to the people around us. I pray that you give us the love to give back to you. Give us wisdom in how to love each other well, and give us strength to love each other when it's difficult. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Cool. Thank you so much, Kyle, for that bop. And thank you, Julie. That was a wonderful talk. And we're just going to get right into announcements now. So this Sunday is church at FBC, in person at 11 in the morning or online if the weather is bad or if you're not in town. You can watch it online. And then we have study room at 7 p.m. So if you have midterm coming up or if you want to do homework, you can just come right on down to that link.
Awesome. And Monday, we have junior and senior growth group, aka upperclassmen Bible study. And after that, we actually have large group, which is today. That's on Tuesday. Guess who's speaking next week? That's right. It's Nick, and you know him as actually my boyfriend. That's right. Let's not fight about it, okay? Anyways, guys, let me tell you about Nick, okay? Nick is so cool. He's such an avid croc and flannel wearer. And metaphorically, on fire for Jesus, okay? Can you believe that? And guess what? Let me just tell you something. He can actually teach you how to weld a knife, and he himself can weld a knife. So guys, what is this topic for next week? How are we sufficient for ministry? Very tough question, but he'll answer that next week.
And then Tuesday, we have large group at, wait.
I just did Tuesday. Go ahead on Wednesday.
Sorry. I got so distracted by the fact that you called Nick your boyfriend.
Look. Let's just love each other well through this, okay? Let's not fight about it. He's my boyfriend, just FYI.
Okay, Wednesday, human consume at 11:30 in the morning. If you would like to eat lunch and talk about the talks, then please come on down.
Wait, is Julie gonna be there?
Julie will be there.
Oh, you know it. Show up for Zoom Consume, guys. And then after you have a bunch of lunch with a bunch of people, go to prayer meeting Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Wake up with prayer, okay? Very important thing to do. You should do it.
And then we have sophomore growth group and freshman growth group are both at 8 p.m. So if you're a sophomore or freshman, head on over.
Yeah. And after you attend sophomore growth group and freshman growth group, sign up for office hours. It's our weekly appointments with Maddie and Peter. Ask them about anything, any questions about life, spirituality, and anything above and below, I suppose.
And I believe on Saturdays now, we also have book club,
both murder mystery and book club. Guys, this is murder mystery. Our new murder mystery is going to take place in 1968. It's the Cold War murder in space. Get really hyped about it because it's going to be epic, okay? And Natalie, why don't you talk about book club?
Yes. So book club is Saturday at no slide. Okay.
9 a.m. 9 a.m. Show up for book club.
Show up for book club. We have it's a lot of fun. Been told.
And if you're curious, it is Discipleship on the Edge by Daryl Johnson. I'm struggling like Peter. Hello. But anyways, show up for book club. And Peter, are we talking about this or are you? Okay, so we have a podcast coming up. It's a Q&A episode on our College Life podcast. If you have any questions or if you have some sort of difficult topic that you want to tackle, go ahead and ask Peter and Stanford on our Q&A episode. Feel free to sign up at collegelifedays.com. Questions and Natalie. Okay, anyways, let's move on to our end of the night segment. Who's on my mind? Hey, Nat, can I ask you who's on your mind?
Oh, absolutely. Let's see if you can guess.
Okay. So I think if I can read your mind, I think this person that you are thinking of is very talented at telling stories. Okay, super talented. Yeah? Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Dare I say creative.
Oh, wow. Okay, awesome. Okay. Now I think the next person or the next thing this person loves is like this person probably loves cats more than dogs, right?
Oh, absolutely. Don't understand how.
Okay.
But
yeah. Hey, I'm a cat person myself too. Okay. So last thing, okay. I think I have it down. It's between two people right now. But this person is a super fantastic, epic, awesome. This person is super fantastic at editing. Am I right?
Absolutely. This is true.
Hey, yo, there's only one person, okay? And it's gotta be Sophie, okay? Okay, there we go. Hey, well, what can I say, you know? Well, okay, you try me. Who am I thinking of?
Okay. Let me think. Let me just get into your brain. I think that this person likes to go to the gym.
Really? Okay.
Are you thinking of yourself?
No way. No, hey, no, stop.
All right. I think this person is always down to give rides.
Wow. Sounds like a super awesome person.
So nice. And all right. I'm getting some ideas, but this is really going to tell me. I think that this person makes the best apple pie west of the Mississippi.
Oh, no way. No. Hey, who am I thinking of? Tell me right now. Who am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Ari.
Woo! Yes, you are. Ding, ding, ding. You win. Hey, I just a quick plug. It's Ari's birthday tomorrow. Wish her a happy birthday. Okay, now.
Birthday.
Yes. So that is the end of our segment. Who's on my mind? I just want to quickly take a second to plug our app. College Life has an app. It details all our events and has a prayer tab that you can pray on. We also have recordings at collegelifedavis.com/recordings. So if you ever are curious of rewatching some of our sermons and past preachings of our student preachers this quarter, feel free to just check it out. And lastly, I just want to say thank you so much for this epic Tuesday night. Thank you for coming. We have this event called Afterlife, which is a time for us to hang out and really just, just be a part of fellowship. So if you want to get to know some of the leaders here, or you just want to hang out, just listen in, just talk to people, maybe meet a few people, from some new people as well, just attend our Afterlife. And so with that being said, that's the end of our night tonight. We'll see you next week.